Welcome back to the next video. In today's video I will show you how to do real-time communication like chat app type communication using Socket.io client or WebSockets for your Flutter app. So here you can see this is my web app. This is not a Flutter web app, but this is a React.js app. I'm just using this to show you the demo. Here I have my Android app, which is the Flutter app for Android, and this is Flutter app for iOS. Now I will send some command. So both this web, iOS and Android client are connected to my Node.js server, and I have not deployed my Node.js server to cloud. It is hosted locally. So currently what I'll do is I'll enter some message in my iOS part. So I'll just enter iOS. I'll click on, and as you can see, all three of them are connected to server. So the message which you see connected to server is actually from my Node.js app or API or backend, whatever you call it. So I'll click on submit on the iOS simulator, and here you can see even on my Android device it has been displaying, and if I go to my web app, even that is showing iOS part as well. Now I will send some message from my web app. So I'll just click web, I'll click on submit, I'll go over here. So here you can see on my Android real device as well as on my iOS simulator. For Android I'm using real device and not the Android emulator, because the Android emulator causes a lot of issue when your backend is hosted locally. That's why I'm using a real device, and I am using my IP address to connect to my local backend. But if you have deployed it to AWS or Heroku, whatever, then you can use your emulator if you want to. Now I will send some message from my Android device as well. So I'll just say Android. Okay, I'll click submit, and here you can see Android as well as Android over here. So yeah, let's see how to do this. So first I'll explain you the Node.js part, because I think that is important as well. If you are curious on how to do it with React.js, I have already made a video about that as well. But okay, let's see, file open, recent, my Node app. Okay, so firstly the inside my package.json I am using two dependency, Express and Socket.io. Then you will have to do npm install. Once you do that, I just have this index.js file. I don't have anything else. And inside index.js you can see I am creating instance of Express, Socket.io as well as HTTP. Then we are initializing our Express app. This is boilerplate code for Express. Here we are creating our HTTP server. Here we are creating our Socket.io client, and we are disabling CORS so that anyone can able to access our backend. Next, this is also part of CORS handling. Here I have just created a simple dummy API to check, and here again this is boilerplate code for Express.js. Now this is the main part. So as soon as a connection has been done properly, I am just console logging the socket ID of the connection, and here you can see I am sending the message from server connected to server. So if you remember, you were seeing this one message, so this is from my Node.js client. So using the same ID, you have to listen it on your client side as well, like on your mobile side or on your website. Next, here we are listening from the client side on the server. So using this ID, you should send whatever message you want from your client app to your Node.js app. So here I am listening, and once I am getting that message, I am from any of the client, then I am again sending it back to all the clients. So that's what it is, and here I am starting our server. Okay, now if I go to my Flutter app, it is pretty simple, honestly. So inside my pubspec.yaml, firstly I am using the Socket.io client. Next, inside main.dart, I have refactored my homepage widget. I have taken a text editing controller because I am using a text input. I have also taken a list so that I can append all the messages which I get from my server to this list and display it inside a list view.builder. Next, you have to use this Socket.io thing. So this is my IP address, but use your own IP address, and my Node.js app is hosted on localhost 3000. That's why 3001. Sorry, that's why I'm using 3001. But again, this should be your own IP address. If you have deployed it on AWS, then use your own domain. And here we are building our socket, and on dispose, I'm disposing our controller as well as our socket. And on initialization, we are connecting our socket, and here you can see I'm listening for messages from my server. So I'm using the same identifier which I have used it on Node.js side. And once we get it, I'm just appending it to our list. And if you see, the data which you get is form of data. So if you see over here, if you where is it, message from server. So the way I'm sending data is data. So it is kind of in form of JSON object. That's why on the client side also I have to do it something like this. Okay, but if you are sending string, then you won't have to do it something like this. Sorry. Now here I have just taken a text field. Okay, and I have assigned our controller as well. I have taken a text button as well, and while submitting the message, here you can see I'm again sending in form of a JSON object. So here you can see we are this is our key and this is the actual value. So I'm sending this data from our client to our backend, and here inside list view.builder I'm just displaying all the messages inside our list. Also one important thing is you will have to go to your Android folder. Inside Android manifest you will have to add this internet permission, and like me, if you are using if your backend is hosted locally, then you also need to add this uses clear text traffic. This is for HTTP backends, so I had to use this. And for iOS I had to go to info.plist and I had to add this NS transport security thing as well. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.